Last week, Smackdown went retro. This week, Smackdown went regal. Medal ceremonies, crownings, and a little bit of technical wrestling prowess as well. Boom! How are we liking that? Welcome to the Smack Attack. Money James McIver alongside an unimpressed John Enright. Do you not like the joke? Do you not like that? I thought it was okay. I quite liked that.
It was
William
okay.
Regal, because he's a technical wrestler.
Yeah, no, I got it. I just, you've had better.
I have.
You've had better.
I have. It's been a long week. It's been a long week for me. So,
yeah.
You get what you
You're
get.
actually working, and you worked 6 full days. Oh,
6 full days.
Yeah. Oh,
because
except for some of us who've been doing it the whole damn time. So, right. Cry me river.
Come on now.
So,
how come my heart isn't rocking? Because it needs facts. Yeah. But okay. Had to take honestly, right? I had to have it right. They're probably not watching this, so I can probably tell this story, right? I spent a good chunk of today trying to explain to someone how a phone battery works. Because they weren't believing me when I said, look, everything's fine, you just need to charge your phone. And it's like, no, it's clearly not that. It's like, it is. It's clearly not. It was the kind of person, right? It's like, no, Google told me that this is the problem. And it's like, okay, we the experts are telling you what this is. There was the kind of person, right, that will go into Wikipedia and find out something. And then they'll go to school and the teacher tells them what it is and they won't believe the teacher because they looked at Wikipedia. Right. It was that kind of thing. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
So they Bobby Boucher'd it. Yeah. Well, Mama says alligators are armored because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. And Mama is wrong.
She ain't got that one right. So. Old wives' tales and all that shit. But no, we're not here for old wives' tales. We're here for the real deal deep dive into SmackDown. How you doing anyway, man? How's your week been?
It was good, just it was a good old week, regular week. No, campaigns, no nothing. It is, National Police Week, so I did have to get something out on Wednesday from our agency saying we support our local police agencies and stuff like that. But nothing pressing, nothing major, just a regular week, which was nice. Trying to get my son into a school. He's been homeschooled for the last 4 years, and so working on getting him into a school in Fort Worth. They call it a university or a hybrid model. So he'd be 3 days a week on campus and 2 days a week doing online stuff. So so we had the family interview yesterday, and then he goes for assessment testing on Tuesday. So, working on maybe trying to get him into school and finishing out his sophomore, junior, senior year in school, and help him out a little bit.
Yeah,
just give him an open door to whatever he wants to do as far as education. If he wants to go to a trade school, if he wants to, go to university, if he wants to join the military, whatever he wants, it gives him a little bit better option so that he can have more choices for what. Because this school, they're pretty strict and strenuous, and they're rated highly. So kids who graduate from this school have a lot better opportunity and choices as far as universities.
Nice.
And it's not a big school too. So I think they said 25 kids are in the sophomore class who are going to be in the sophomore class. So, small classes, small schools, opportunity to really focus in and learn and stuff like that. So, I think it's a good opportunity for him. So just kind of being a dad and taking care of that stuff on top of everything else.
Being a top guy.
Doing the girlfriend thing, and we've been hanging out and dating. That's been fun.
Yeah.
And then so I did discover today. So I told you, earlier off record that we were, every third Saturday we do mobile pantry where we provide food for people in our area who don't have it or can't afford it, and so come and we load them up. Off. Well, there's this place in town that's called the Pure Water Station, but they have home-brewed hand store teas and lemonades, iced teas. I don't like iced tea, but lemonades, which I am a huge fan of. I love lemonade. They have the most amazing lavender lemonade. If you've never had a lavender lemonade, oh my God, James, this thing is change your life. It's amazing. And then they had a prickly pear lemonade, which was just, oh my God. We sampled both of those and we're like, oh my God, what is happening right now?
So is it a bit it's a bit like cider, but lemonade? Like it's the same sort of process, but with like something else.
Yeah, so like they mix the lemonade and they add the flavoring to it, so it's just one. So, yeah, so they just mixed it right there in the store. So we bought a gallon of the lavender because it was really good, and we got a half gallon of the prickly pear because it was good. Okay, which of the two do we like better? I mean, the prickly pear is really good, but like the lavender is just that touch better. And then I got to thinking about it. My girlfriend and her oldest son, he loves lemonade, so I was like, you know what? Let me get a half gallon of, you know, lemonade to take to them because we're gonna go hang out tomorrow. We're gonna all watch the 4-hour Snyder Cut Justice League movie.
That's
so,
a meaty session.
Being that, being that she's doing that, I'm gonna bring that to her. And then they had a local company making gummy bears, which I'm a huge gummy bear guy. So
love a gummy bear, by the way. Absolutely love a gummy bear.
A good one.
No, I quite like. And you might agree with me on this one, but have you ever had like gummy bears that have been soaked in gin for like an overnight? Like gin gummy bears.
Who are you talking to?
You. Oh, you gotta see. Yeah, you gotta love that shit. It's amazing.
Dude, do I drink alcohol?
No. Of course you do, surely. Please come on now.
Yeah.
You drank a beer on this show last week. Come on.
It's a real beer, you dingus.
But it's good though. Like, see, and like this blew my mind, right? And I shouldn't really tell this because it's not the job I'm at now, but my old job, right? And a girl I was working with, she was on her day off. She came in with this big box filled with these gummy bears filled with gin, and honestly, it knocked me out. Absolutely, these things were like fucking lethal. I only had like 3, and it's probably the size of them, right? Were like they got to the point where it's like essentially just short of like a shot each bear. So I was just like, whoa, that was a fun last hour of work for me. I was like, whoa, woohoo! It's like some people didn't see out of their glasses properly because of my maybe slightly tipsy measurements. But it was good. It was good stuff. I always love stuff like that, like jelly, like gummy bears, jelly babies, jelly, where they just put booze in it and just like you can consume it. It's just a way of thinking that I never knew before. And if there's a way to enjoy alcohol, I will find it and I will enjoy it. I will lose my fucking mind over it.
It kind of reminds me. It reminds me of the Parks and Rec thing where they go to like have alcohol and they're like, it's this mixology place and it's like. Ron Swanson's like, there's never a wrong way to enjoy alcohol. And then they start doing the alcohol like with you smell it or the cotton candy, and the whiskey is like a hand lotion. And Ron's like, this is the wrong way to consume alcohol. You're like, it's the only thing. Like, he was very funny. So yeah, no, I had friends who love Jello shots and they get so tore up on those things, and I'm just like, I don't. I don't get it.
I don't mind Jello shots, but I'm slightly judgmental of Jello shots at the same time. It's like, if you're gonna have a shot, take a shot. You know what I mean? Like, just have the shot. Like, if it's a whiskey, a vodka, or tequila, you just take the shot. Don't sugarcoat it with jelly. Like, if you put like a big Jello tub that's been mixed with booze, like a bowl of jelly, and you give that to me, I'd be totally fine with that. But then if you're just giving it as a shot, let's have a Jello shot. I mean, people will watch this going, why the fuck am I watching this? I want to talk about Smackdown. We'll get to it, I promise you. But like, you like but then when people are like, let's just have a Jello shot, it's like, just drink the shot, get it into your system. Like, if you're having a shot, you're not here to like, take your time with it. You want to get it in your system, and you want to get it in your system fast. So just take the shot. Just get it in you. I love it. I've not had. Oh, by the way, I've yet to go to the pub since it reopened. Lockdown, and we're about to be allowed to have indoor drinking as of Monday up in Maui. And I'm like, my birthday's next Saturday, and I'm like, fucking yes, birthday's next week, Champions League finals 2 weeks times from now. I can go to a pub, I can have a pint, I will cry over it. Absolutely. I've not had a pint in a pub since August. I had an ice cold pint of Guinness at one of my locals, and I've not had a pint in a pub since. And it is, I miss it like a child that I don't have. I cannot wait to consume one.
Well, in Texas, we never did anything. You can still do all that shit. So,
I know. I mean, the beer gardens have been
uh,
open for a week or so, a couple of weeks, but I've not had the chance because I've been working. But I'm looking forward to like a bit of actually going and like enjoying a pint. Just ice cold. If you've had one and you're in the chat, let me know. Speaking of the chat, well, we might as well get into it there. If you're in the chat, if you're watching the show, obviously you're here to watch us talk about Smackdown. So get your opinions in when we talk about anything that goes on the show. We love to hear from you. We love to hear about anything you've got going on in the world of wrestling, entertainment. If you want some, I'm not done any agony aunt stuff, but if you want some advice about something, get it in the chat. We'll talk about it. We'll get in there. We love to hear from you. So get involved as much as you want in the show. We see you. We see that you're watching it. We'd love to hear from you as we go into this year. So let's do it. Let's just get stuck into this week's SmackDown. I thought was a really good SmackDown all in all. We've got we're in the road to Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash, if you want to call it. If you wanted a show that was going to set up a pay-per-view, SmackDown hit every note for me. Absolutely spot on for everything that they've done. Yeah. And we got some
winners. But I will say, this is the third week in a row they've kind of run the same format. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Where it's a similar format. I like the new format, but you've now gone 3 weeks in a row doing the same thing. We got to start figuring out how to maybe do some adjustments on the fly, so don't run into the problem that we had before WrestleMania, where it was, the same old, same old. I think that was the part of the problem. There was no variety in what they were doing as far as storytelling.
I do sense something like that coming. We'll talk about it when we go into the review, because there's a very specific thing that happens where I was like, something's coming, and I'm really excited for it. I really am excited for it as well. But we opened up the show, as you said, the kind of same format. We opened up the show with Roman Reigns doing a bit more of his usual stick. You had a moment where it was like, how many title matches has Cesaro had? And then it's like, none. How many title matches have you had? And I believe the number is 36 or 39, wasn't it? It's 39.
Right, yeah.
I don't know about you, but were you shocked it was just 39? I could have sworn it was more. I could have sworn it was more than 39.
No, I mean, it sounded right to me, because you got to remember, for a long time, Roman was, in the Shield or with, people. So there was never he was always right there. Yeah. So it makes sense. But he's always been in the main event picture. But as far as being the champ in that aspect, I think that number sounded right, because I think they were just referencing, the Universal title, or championships type thing. Not necessarily I don't think they were counting US and, Intercontinental or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
So that number sounded right, because I just took it referencing the big championship, the WWE or the Universal. So
yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that was what it was. They were kind of talking about pay-per-views. Maybe it's just what's the word I'm looking for? Bias of what, I can't remember the word it is for that, but the bias of I always thought that Roman Reigns was a champion in the champion match all the time. Of course, he wasn't, because he had other feuds going on. But 39 seems like a small number over the period of what? When did he go in the main event scene? About 2016, 2015, 16.
Yeah, but then there were he was off for so long because of leukemia.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then of course getting him back after. He took his time coming back, because he wanted to be safe with the pandemic. So he was gone for a good chunk of time.
And I suppose there's that period where he was just disliked as a whole, and they were like, "Right, we have to pull this off. We have to take this off for a while." So there was that. But I just found it was a fascinating number. But it was all leading up to the Cesaro match. He was trying to hype that up. Jimmy Uso got his nose in again, and I really, really liked what came after Jimmy Uso came out. I really did. Lovely promo stuff from both guys. I love the t-shirt as well. Nobody's bitch. It's fucking. He's coming. He's got a vendetta. He doesn't quite say it, but he's got some beef with Roman Reigns going on. It was great, and I like how it was just sort of Jimmy just sticking up for himself and his brother, and Reigns having an absolute wig over it. You see, it was two different sides of the coin. You got with Roman Reigns. This is very cocksure, relaxed, confident, I'm king of the castle, top of the heap kind of Roman Reigns. And in the moment he gets challenged by people close to him, he's like ravenous. He's so angry.
Right.
And it was just the sort of thing I was, look, if you lost your title and then we won titles, then does that mean we're head of the table because we're the champions and we'll be making the money?
Right.
He didn't like that at all, did he? He didn't like the idea of being challenged or logic being thrown at him. Seemed to be the thing for me. It was just like, well, if you're not champion, then
right, which is what happens when you have like cult leaders or mob leaders or the moment logic comes in, it throws them off, because they can't see themselves other than being in control or the head of the table, and so therefore, when you present something logically that could happen, it's almost a denial effect. So which I found interesting because I'm watching this last night going, that's an interesting take on this character where, Jimmy is really just being logical about it. And let's be honest, if I remember correctly, Jimmy was the one that Roman put in the guillotine to make Jay tap to lose, right? If I remember correctly, if that was the case, or was it vice versa? I don't remember off the top of my head, a while back. They had that whole thing where, the family was fighting. And I want to say, because I think Jimmy was already hurt and Jay was fighting Jimmy. Or Jay was fighting Roman. Yeah, and because he was in the white outfit. And, Roman, they're trying to break him up. And then Roman gets Jimmy in the guillotine and makes him tap. So Jimmy obviously has an axe to grind with Roman because, he used him to make his brother quit and make his brother fall in line and make his, because he's been gone the whole time. And so to me, it just makes sense that Jimmy would come back angry and upset. And I like this because he's not shooting at Roman directly. He's kind of saying, hey, what if we did this? What if this happened? He's not saying I'm going to take the Universal title from you. He just said, I want my brother so we can go be tag team champs. And we could be, if you lose and we're the champs, aren't we the head of the table? He's but it's not a direct challenge to Roman. I like that. It's very almost cerebral in a way.
It's backhanded, isn't it? It's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it was very good promo from both of these guys. Really, and I think the thing that I really like too is Jay being stuck in the middle. He's having a yo-yo back and forth between these two, which we see play out later at the end of the night.
You see the confliction play out quite a lot with Jay, which is great.
Yeah, I agree. So this was really, really good. I really enjoyed this storytelling they're doing with family. It's done really, really well because we all have family. We all know that there's been that time where family members have had to pick between other family members and what it can do to a family.
Yeah.
So I think it's been good from that aspect and standpoint. So I'm looking forward to see how it continues to play out with Backlash coming on Sunday.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some permutations from that. Sonic the Hedgehog, fellas, I'm new to the show, and you guys, but anybody cool with Ben is cool with me. I missed the show, so you guys maybe come. Anyone that's cool with us is cool with us too. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show with Sonic the Hedgehog. And he also says Usos should have their cousins back, and I think that's where it's going. Although, I think there's something really weird that happened at the end of this promo. Right, is Roman Reigns sort of manages to get Jimmy to do the J thing. At the end of this, it's like, if you think you can do this, why don't you challenge this? Like, he's not telling Jay to like handle the business and go, look, you're facing, go and challenge Cesaro and face him now. It's like reverse psychology. It was like, well, if you think you can do it, then on you fucking go. You turn around and challenge him. See what you can do.
Show me what you can do.
And he turned Jey Uso with it. He was like it was like on a dime. He was like, Cesaro, I'm here. You're watching. Come out. Let's have a fight. He just got Jedi mind tricked by Roman Reigns, for all I know.
He really did. And this just goes back to Roman being the head of the table and being smart and everything along those lines. I think they're trying to play into that. But then at the same time, this is Jimmy's backhanded, well, I'm going to show him I can do that. And that I can keep up with Cesaro just as much as you can. I deserve to be in this level as you are. Those are I think it goes back to ego. Everybody's got their own ego, and they're raising their own ego to match that. So once again, because family knows how to push buttons.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got caught with the comment there. Canada Spaceman. Do you know if Roman Reigns does bit parts in movies? I swear he's a hotel bellhop for 2 seconds in a new comedy, Breaking News in Yuba County. I don't know. I know he appeared in Hobbs and Shaw, which I've not seen yet, but surprisingly, that if that's true, the fucking where has that come from? And I have to see this now, just for it.
Well, no. I mean, he played in Hobbs and Shaw. He played a bit part. He did. I don't even think he spoke, or if he did, it was very minimal.
They hyped him up as well. Like all the Instagram posts and like WWE were getting involved, and The Rock was doing. Well, I know it's The Rock's cousin, but same time, like, come on, man.
Yeah, it was.
It was weird, but
it was. But that was during the time he supposedly had leukemia too.
That's true. He did. Tell you what, I wouldn't mind having something to fall back on if I had like cancer or something. Can't work, but you know what? I'm gonna go and do this film with my cousin. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Fair fucks, mate. Might as well live your life. If you're in a position like that, go and live your life. Right? You know what I mean? Like,
no, really. You know what I mean? And I mean that was the thing. It was literally, But that's the thing. If you didn't know Roman Reigns, if you didn't know he was a WWE superstar, he would just look like a member of the family, like just all standing there, a bunch of Samoans standing there.
Oh, yeah, he'd fit in like a.
You wouldn't know any difference. Yeah, he wasn't standing out among a ton of other people. So that's the whole point. Is like which makes it funny because if you're not a wrestling fan, you're just going, okay, there's another Samoan dude. And if you're a wrestling fan, you go, oh, look, there's Roman Reigns. And because at one point he does the ooh-ah, like he does. And, I think he spears somebody and, it's a whole thing. And, of course, The Rock gets his rock bottom in on somebody. I think that's obligatory he has to do in every movie now. So.
It's like a thing. Like everyone has a thing, and it's really weird, but it was good though. We set up Cesaro versus Jimmy Uso from that, so we're getting that at the main event of the show, which I can't wait to talk about. Actually, I'm really looking forward to that. The first match of the show is, and this is where which becomes apparent, maybe not completely obvious. It becomes very obvious come the Intercontinental title pictures stuff, but women's tag title match. Tamina and Natalya winning the titles from Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler, which I'm shocked by.
Yeah,
we knew this was going to happen. We knew this should have happened at WrestleMania. Yeah. We've talked about this at length. Where if we're going to do it, they should have done it at WrestleMania. They were at a position where they could have done it and deserved it. They had a great run come up to here. I'm glad that they won the titles. They had their "Yo, Adrian, we did it, Adrian."
Yeah,
Adrian, thank you. It was that kind of promo. If you can imagine Rocky and him when he beat Apollo Creed, that was it.
Tamina's first title in WWE ever.
How mental is that? Like, she's been here for well over a decade, and that was her first title. I could have sworn she won a Divas title or something before then, but
no.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Because when she was in that group, I think it was Sasha or somebody who won it. It wasn't her. Yeah. She was just part of that group that helped her. She was there like long before then. She was there sort of like during the Divas title reign of terror, where it was like no one watched the women's division, but you had like workers like Natalya, Beth Phoenix, people that could do stuff. The Bellas were starting to kind of get their leggings in a little bit. There was people there that could really have done something, but they never got the time. And it's mental to think that like someone before the Jimmy Snuka stuff became apparent, like her background was so like big for her. Everyone was like, she's Jimmy Snuka's daughter. She did all this, and then so the head rat said that they had Natalya farting, which is we'll get to that as well. It's like with Tamina, it's insane because like she had so much behind her and so much positive when she debuted and when they were building her in the women's division. The fact she never got near the title, she didn't even get a sniff for over a decade. It's well earned. She's waited. She's got her time. Yeah.
and you couldn't really take it. You can't take it away from her. Like, she's got that there, but
Right.
It's bizarre. And Natalia as well is another one of these forgotten talents. As Sonic the Hedgehog said, that they had storylines with her farting. They threw her down the card. They had her as a gatekeeper for a lot of the newer talents. So in a way, it's like giving the veterans a little bit of a pat on the back. Saying, well done, here it is. You've got a tag title reign, which is fair. This is a story that's kind of started. It was the title run was kind of reaching its end.
Yeah.
I mean, we really kind of.
I mean, when you involved Reginald and with Nia and Shayna, I think that's when it really was. It died there, and it should have stopped. And as you said, we mentioned it should have stopped at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But they wanted to do it, and I mean, here's the thing. I know Backlash isn't as big as WrestleMania, so we're not getting the cards. We're not getting the Intercontinental on Backlash. We're not getting the women's. So they wanted to do it beforehand.
Yeah.
So this, I mean, I looked at this as a pre-show kind of. Obviously they're not doing pre-shows anymore. They're using SmackDown as their pre-shows. So this is where, all right, well, we're going to do the women's title here, and we're going to give it to Tamina and Natalia to say, hey, thanks for what you do, and then watch like next week they're going to drop the titles.
I mean, like
the WWE.
I kind of hinted at this, and since you brought it up, it's a good time to talk about it. I hinted about this in the sort of description of the show when you kind of bring this up. Is right now that WWE's got this weird love affair with booking title matches around a pay-per-view, but not on a pay-per-view for SmackDown anyway. So like this week we've got the women's title match, which could have easily been on Backlash. And then next week, we've got this Intercontinental title 4-way, which, if you asked me last week, this was a nailed-on pay-per-view match for this Sunday, and all of a sudden we don't have it. We got it on Friday instead, which is weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the play is here. Are they maybe trying to think of like AEW style, where it's like, look, we've got to have something on Friday that makes people talk about this show or makes people watch this. There's, no, the SmackDown's doing good on its own. You don't have to try too hard. I mean, I don't mind like Intercontinental title matches. I mean, we way back when, like 2000, you had them every week on SmackDown, like European title matches and Intercontinental title matches. But for the talents involved and the condensed rosters that we've currently got, it's a bit of a surprise. I mean, the match card isn't, the card's not that big for Sunday, is it? Unless you're deciding, you know what, let's focus on the big matches. So your 2 world titles and, women's titles and maybe some big feuds. Unless that's the route they're going to go down for pay-per-views and just have like the biggest matches possible for the pay-per-views on and leave the rest around, which I don't mind, but then you might harm talents that are not getting pay-per-view hours next.
Well, but I mean, the other thing I can think of too is they're trying to say, hey, you never know what's going to happen on SmackDown. They're trying to keep that unpredictability of SmackDown.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where how do you go about doing that? Well, the titles, the Intercontinental, the women's tag titles, since they can float brands, those are easy to put on, and those are easy to transition because they're not the universal. The universal title is not going to change hands on a SmackDown on a Friday night. That's never going to happen. I mean, no, WWE's never really done that. So the whole point is they want to make sure that you're watching Friday night because you never know what could happen. So what are the other options you have to do that? Well, you have the Intercontinental and the women's tag titles.
Yeah.
And so that's really your options for that. So it makes it where you have to then figure out, all right, how are we going to make this happen? So the whole idea of you have the tag titles, on the women's tag titles this week, it's a great lead into Backlash, but because you've watched the women's tag titles, Bianca is going to be facing Bayley at Backlash, which they previewed later on in the show. So maybe you're like, okay, I got this tag in now. So that makes me kind of want to see Bayley and Bianca get after it, knowing that there's not going to be much going on other than that, kind of thing. Then you've got the Asuka, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte 3-way dance, So
it's a good card. It's a good card.
It is a good card because it's top heavy. You've got both women's championships going on. You've got I think both the Universal and the WWE championships are up for grabs. You've got, different things doing there. And so, it's you already got the Dirty Dogs and the Mysterios going after the tag titles on Sunday as well. So,
Yeah.
you gotta kind of, you only have so much show. And they're not allowed runovers anymore, and they're not allowed any of those other things. So you got to make it work, and that's where I think we're going to see Friday nights be more your pre-show transition stuff, kind of like we saw tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight felt like a pre-show for Backlash, with the matches that we had and the things going
I mean,
on.
I don't mind that either, because that takes us back to the days of old, where that's kind of how go-home shows worked. They just had like pre-show.
Yeah, and then we don't have shitty go-home shows where it's just people talking for 90%. Some nonsense matches put in between.
Yeah.
So I'm good with this. Like I said, I know the format's kind of been the same the last 3 weeks, but I like it because you have just the right amount of balance of talking and matches.
Yeah.
It makes it work. And then as we're going into this Backlash pay-per-view, I'm going, okay, all right, there's some meat on the bone here for Sunday.
Yeah.
So, that's
really quickly looking at the chat. Sonic the Hedge Rat saw on Wikipedia Jimmy Snuka birthday is the 18th of May. Probably some kind of WWE half-assed tribute to him. I don't think they'll do that because of the murder stuff. But I think that's because they threw that away for Tamina Snuka and Tamina in general, and that's kind of maybe harmed her quite a bit in her career, but it didn't really help her in the end. Moving on. We did the Adrian promo, and right, can we talk about this promo? Can we talk about this Apollo Crews stuff? I didn't mind the promo, I didn't mind the stuff. My only thing, Aziz is fucking massive.
Yeah,
this has to be a rib. This box that Aziz stands on when Apollo Crews is supposed to give him his Medal of Honor it's as big as Apollo.
Yeah.
You just see Aziz like
so
touching the ceiling while he's standing on this box.
It was so stupid.
Oh my god. I mean, I kind of dipped out of this promo. I thought it was done well. I'm not gonna lie. I'm reading my notes and he talked about how it's helped him bring honor back to the Intercontinental title, and he may be Intercontinental champion forever, which I quite liked. And it was given the Nigerian Medal of Honor to Aziz because of his his good deeds by sticking his thumb in people's throats. Because if I knew that was what's going to get me like accreditation or some kind of respect, I would walk around the shopping centre working and just start fucking thumbing people in the throat. Can I get a pay rise, mate? Thanks. Bang, bang, bang. All right, bad joke. I'm sorry. I'm not informed, guys. I'm sorry. But but it was a good promo to just kind of set the table for the Intercontinental title picture, because he does his Medal of Honor thing for Aziz. Big E comes on the screen and kind of talks about. I like how he used to feel the power line.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, this is it's the same thing he said with the New Day, but he recontextualized it for me, which I quite enjoyed. So I was like, I'll enjoy this little flavor. I'll keep it there. And then Sami Zayn comes out and is like, look, if anyone likes award ceremonies, it's me, but I should be getting better Continental title shot. Kevin Owens, I loved that bit. It was just like I should be getting better credit, but look, if anyone's got an appreciation for award ceremonies, it's me, because I have one because of my documentary series.
Right.
But then then Kevin Owens comes and beats the piss out of Mike Rose. McIver giving more thumbs up than Facebook. Here's some more for you. But and then Kevin Owens comes out and does his thing and attacks Sami Zayn, because that seems to be the law now. And then there's just Big E come out of nowhere. I can't remember where he appeared from. He just sort of launched in, and he just had a big scrap. And it was like, well, it's obvious what's happening here. Intercontinental 4-way. And it gets decided later on. We might as well just say it now rather than just bring it up later in the review. Adam Pearce has announced the Intercontinental title 4-way for next week on SmackDown rather than Backlash, which we mentioned earlier was a bit of a surprise.
Because Sonya Deville kind of disrespected him in front of superstars, and she said, well, you never know, she might do like Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and put you in a multi-man tag match.
Yeah!
And She says that right in front of him, and then he's like, you know what? Okay,
Gone by
no,
them.
you're gonna face them in a fatal four-way. And then he turns around after they leave and goes, "Don't you ever disrespect me in front of the superstars."
Yeah, she
again."
had him by the bollocks right there as well. You knew it. You could see it in her face. It's like, I'm looking forward to. Part of me wonders if they could drag this out to Survivor Series, and then they have a power struggle where the winning team gets control of the talent relations. So either Adam Pearce is in charge of Raw and SmackDown, or Sonya Deville is, and you just have them pick mega teams for SmackDown. Like, have a best of 3, so you have like a men's team, a women's team, and a tag team. And I mean, hey, that's a great excuse for Survivor Series. You don't have to always make it.
It really is to have. But here's the question: would it be for SmackDown though? Would it be for both? Like, because she doesn't. I haven't seen her on Raw, but not that I watch Raw. I
think she's appeared. I think she has appeared on Raw a couple of times.
Okay. Yeah, but I see her more on SmackDown. Yeah. You know, she's more involved in SmackDown than I've seen. So I would say something like that, where it'd be more one going to get one or the other depending on how it works out. You know, kind of thing. You know, it's the way I see it.
It seems like it's a nice easy out if they want to get Adam Pearce back to just being backstage, and they've got someone who can carry the load with personality and having a heel authority figure. But that seems to be an overplayed stereotype in wrestling now, where you don't really need it. But if they make something interesting out of it, I'm here for it. You know, I mean, Sonya Deville, I'm surprised she's not wrestled yet. I'm genuinely shocked by that. I thought she would have been wrestling by now. By the way, should we talk?
I think, you know,
should we quickly bring up that the guy that broke into our house the other day is not getting trial.
Right.
He's not mentally fit to stand trial.
Right.
That's mental.
Yeah, and that's probably part of it. I read somewhere. I think for some reason I popped on the discussion last night after SmackDown, and I saw somebody like did something and sent it to her, and she blocked them, and they were like, okay, she might not have still be ready from the whole, situation. I mean, let's be honest. This is kind of my area with what I do for a living, with helping people victims of abuse and this. It go through something as traumatic as that. You're not ready overnight. I mean, you're kind of in the days. I mean, she just started getting back with Mandy Rose doing their Demandy's Donuts thingy, where they're talking about donuts and different things. That's just started back up, I think, in the last month. Mike, I agree. That would have been cool if they would have just did Joseph Parks.
You just catch that as well. Oh.
Yeah. So, I think it's she's just not there yet.
Yeah.
I think, physically and mentally to be able to take bumps and do those kind of things, I think this is a great way to really ease her in. And, she's got good mic skills. She's done a great job on the mic. It's kind of one of those things where we just let her take her time, and let her not force her.
Yeah. Like she's got a free hit where or they have as well. It's like, she could say, like, I'm ready to go. It's like, cool. You mind waiting a couple of weeks and we'll get to the storyline conclusion? It's really well done.
Yeah.
So fair play. I like how they've managed to find something for her, but nothing too extraneous for the time. I think it'll be quite nice when the crowds come back. I think they'll get a nice little response for when we do that. That may be around about SummerSlam time. But we'll move swiftly on. Fucking right, this match. Dolph Ziggler and Rey Mysterio started and ended as quick as it did. This is for me. It felt like the same as last week. Like a cocksure Dolph Ziggler thought he had it in the bag, gets rolled up. It looks like an arse. And now I'm doubting myself because I was about to do my pick'ems on the Hammy Media discussion group Facebook page. I was going to do my pick'ems. The bookies have the Mysterios winning the titles by a long margin, big margin. And tonight just made me change my mind. I was like, you can't have Dolph lose twice in a row and then have him lose the titles at Backlash. Surely not. Unless they've totally given up on him. But it was the way they done it as well. So I'm thinking, no, they'll have a point to prove, so they'll have to win the titles. Not much to talk about here. More just setting up Rey and Dominic being the father-son duo for the tag titles, which is okay because you've got the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have been a bit better, a bit more comfortable with this as such if it was Ray and Bobby Roode. Like,
Yeah.
Bobby's not done anything. Like I don't unless something's up, and maybe that's why the bookies odds are so swayed over. And he can't work.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got a Billy Gunn no out situation where he's there, but he's not fit enough to work, and something will happen to him. Ziggler's hair can be used to frighten prisoners at Guantanamo. Oof. Oh, come on now. Although, fun fact, out of nowhere, just total random fact that just comes into my head now you said that. You know, there's like, I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere in the Middle East, right? When you know how you get like different forms of torture, like water torture, stretching.
Right.
There's a place, right, that I think this is legit. If you know this, and if I'm wrong, correct me. But apparently, there's somewhere where they'll lock you in a room and they'll play Barney singing on a loop constantly until you break. You know that I love you, you love me, we're a happy family, like that. But it's on a loop constantly until you cannot hack it anymore. I mean, it's a long game, let's be fair, but it's weird fact to bring up. I don't know why, but this is what the chat does to me. If something happens, I'll find it. I'll call it up. But yeah, there's not much. This goes to show how much I was to talk about this match. It was more just set up Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good match. They're doing quite well.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Dolph Ziggler taking 2 L's.
Yeah. Mike presents a good option. Maybe Ray and Tom get the belts, and then we get them the Usos, and the Usos wreck shop for the head of the table.
Well, this is the thing, because they are pushing the Usos together. Mm-hmm. It would make total sense to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be the sort of like culmination of, you know, because like I'm convinced that Reigns is making it to WrestleMania next year as champion. That no one's taking it off him. But something about that Jimmy said, like if they win the titles and then Reigns loses it and then the Usos are on top of the table, it's like I kind of want to see that. I kind of want to see how that happens, how that plays out, and maybe this is the change of things.
Yeah,
it would be really interesting. Or maybe they just win the tag titles and Jimmy becomes another one of Reigns' lapdogs, which I kind of hope doesn't happen. I hope there's a bit more layers to it. But no, I quite like the idea of that.
Right.
But a good match nonetheless. Really good promo. Oh, I thought it was really good. Kinda. It got good at the end. The Bianca Belair interview with Michael Cole. Always think Michael Cole leading an interview in the ring is a death nail on anyone. You don't need him. Especially Bianca Belair. I don't think Bianca Belair needs him. She could have said all these things without him there and have the same conclusion. Yeah. Like, she could have came out and tried to call out Bayley after last week, and then Bayley came up on the screen. It was just more like Bianca wanted to say it was the best, it's the strongest. I love how she said it was going to be the fastest victory. I really picked up on that. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm. No, I did. I liked it because, you know, it's going back to using that EST thing that she's doing. It's going to be the roughest. It's going to be toughest. It's going to be the quickest.
You think it will be?
You know,
you think it will be the quickest one?
I don't think so. I just think she's using that to, just kind of go, especially that quickest part. You know, it was meant to goad and chide her a little bit, and it's while using those EST, phrases on her. And then it was very funny because all of a sudden you see Bayley flip a switch. She'd been, kind of almost that, next level, like, all right, now you done effed up because, when you said that, this is, it's serious. I'm putting my working boots on now. We're going to go to work. And it was like, the tone changed, and Bayley just all of a sudden got super serious and monotone and just like, so which was interesting. Like, to me, that was interesting again, because, she's been this, ha, 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 like Karen type, character. And then all of a sudden when and it was when she said the quickest, Bianca Belair says that, it's like you see it on her face that just switched, that just got flipped. And she's like, you better be ready, because when that comes to Sunday, she just boom. And to me, it was fairly impressive, both of them getting after it like that at the end. I enjoyed it. Like you said,
it was that bit where it's like, wait, I'm going to hurt you. I love how you said, I'm going to hurt your feelings right now. You're just jealous because you got thrown down the stage off the Bellas, which I thought was a bit, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Bellas weren't that bad, but okay. You getting thrown down the stage off the Bellas, and I was winning the title. And as you say, Bayley flipped a switch. It was, she stopped laughing. She stopped this, like, it was almost like Bianca broke through this, like, then you've got your own ego and you force yourself into laughing because it felt like really forced laughing. Like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't trust you. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. And as soon as she said that, Bayley just started, like, it got really serious. And it was like, she even said, it's like, I've been there before. It's like looking at a reflection of my former self, and I promise you it doesn't end well. And I thought, you know what, I'd be okay with this one. I'd watch this main event. If you've turned around and told me this was going to be a main event, you may disagree, but I'd be okay with it. Considering the matches we've got coming up for this, I would be absolutely grand with that. If you want to close off Backlash in a nice way, there it is. There it is for me.
I don't know. I don't know if I could see it as a main event, but I could see it as a, it's not a let up match. That's for sure. It's not going to be, one of those, but, I could, because I'm going to be honest with you, the Cesaro Roman Reigns match, I could see that. I can't see that triple threat from Raw, being a main event one. I could see this being like co-main. Third or fourth from the top. Yeah, co-main or even a co-main.
I'm worried though that the Raw one is going to be the main event because they were like Braun, Drew, because it's Drew and Lashley and Braun.
And Braun, just big beefy boys, going after it, which we know Vince loves big beefy boys.
It's a match that does nothing for me, and I love Drew McIntyre. I love him, but this match does nothing for me because it's like, Bobby's getting the win over Braun. They want to protect one of them, but but I still think it'd be a good match. It'll be a really entertaining match. Does this feud go longer? Is my question I have to ask. Does it go past Sunday? Not a lot of people in that division on hand. We've not seen Sasha since Mania.
Yeah.
Carmella, very quiet this week. No Carmella.
Yeah. Well, she was on last week. Trademark Canadian Spaceman. I'm the Beefy Boys. I'm trademarking that. So you can't take that tag team.
Boy. That'd be quality.
So, but yeah, no, Carmella did show last week. Remember, because she did the cone of silence against. Or was that 2 weeks ago with Ruby Riott?
It was last week. She had the match last week.
That was last week. That was last week. So, but yeah, at this point, who are we going to build up to go against her? I could see this continuing. This to be the start of something. Yeah. But at the same time, too, at the start of something, so we can build other people up.
Yeah.
So that this doesn't go on for 6 months. Like we've seen sometime before WrestleMania.
It's gonna be tricky. Is Shayna or Nia like on SmackDown? Are they both Raw stars? Because now they've not got the tag titles. They're always
they were Raw.
They're both Raw.
They were Raw. Yeah.
I feel like Shayna would have been a great shout for SmackDown. I mean, great, but oh well. We can wonder, but it'll be interesting to see what they do because they might bring people up or they might bring people in.
Yeah.
But
so
looking forward to that. Everything's been good so far. This match next was good. Nakamura versus Baron Corbin and this is the moment, right? I had an absolute boosh, brain exploding moment, and I lost. I got really excited for what could be ahead from this one. And you're thinking to yourself, what are you talking about? Good match. What you would expect from both of them. But it's the ending I want to talk about. Because Shinsuke Nakamura wins the match. Sasha pins Baron Corbin. And you'll appreciate this because you're a New Japan fan. Because you'll remember when Nakamura was...
No, he lost the match.
Wait, Nakamura lost the match?
He lost.
Wow.
Yeah, he lost the match. And then this was post-match where he gave him a
Sasha.
He lost the Corbin because he was going to put him in, he had him in the arm bar, and Corbin ended up rolling him up and got the 1, 2, 3. while he was in the armbar, because it was smooth. He smoothly got him into an armbar, and the only way Corbin, because they tried to do the whole pick him up thing and he couldn't do it, and so then Corbin just rolled him up and stacked him up 1, 2, 3, and got the win, and threw him out of the ring, and then Shinsuke comes back and blindsides him with a kick, and then gives him a Kinshasa, and then he's standing there with the crown.
I love how he just takes ages to lift it as if it weighs a ton, and this is why I got excited.
Yeah,
but
and Canada Spaceman, he had a crown at New Japan.
He did. That's why I thought you'd like it as well, because it's like that was part of his stick. That's why he was the King of Strong Style. He had the crown.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's what I want to talk to you about. What I want to talk to you about is we're getting the King of the Ring soon, aren't we? Yes! Come on! I love the King of the Ring. Absolutely love the King of the Ring. And I can't wait to see it again. And I think Shinsuke might win it because, it fits the bill quite nicely. They did the whole King of Strong Style.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would be against it just being on SmackDown as well, like they did when King Booker won the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Against it at all. It just, as soon as he did that, that's when I was like, King of the Ring's coming. Because it's taking the crown off Baron Corbin. I hope I'm right.
Because they even mentioned it. They, he's our most recent King of the Ring winner. I think they mentioned it like either before the match or during the match, because it was brought up specifically. And of course, then watching Shinsuke just play with that crown and pretend like it's so heavy, and then he puts it on. And
the importance of that crown when you think of the Bret Harts and.
Yeah, just knowing what he could do with that kind of thing. If you've seen some of his stuff in Japan with it, knowing what he could do with it, it's going to be great. And then of course we see him in the mirror, coming back from the break, just admiring him in that crown, just looking good on him. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing King of the Ring. Hopefully they bring it back this year.
Can't wait to ruin it for everyone though, because how the King of the Ring is this prestigious trophy, this mantle to have. You think of Stone Cold Steve Austin, you think of Bret Hart, you think of Triple H. What about Mabel? What about Billy Gunn?
Don't forget about Owen though.
Owen Hart won it there. That's fair fucks to Owen, by the way. I'm surprised. But there's names in there where you're like, okay.
Yeah. But look what it did for Baron Corbin. At first we thought this is the shit. Why is Baron Corbin win? But really, he's done a great job with it and, owning that character. Then let's give it to Shinsuke, who, let's be honest, he probably doesn't need it. This will keep him from having to chase a title. Yeah. He doesn't need a title. He's such a good character and so charismatic that this would just bring him to that next level. And if you want to put a title on him, you can. But you don't have to rush him to do that. This would be a great way to elevate Shinsuke without putting a title on.
I mean, it's a kind of like the mystique is back. They brought back the mystique. It's the King of Strong, as you say, the King of Strong. I think it's just bringing that showmanship element back to Nakamura's character when he was at New Japan and he was doing these entrances with this with the big gowns and the giant crown and all that stuff when he was doing Wrestle Kingdoms and things like that. It was settled so nicely for him. And I just think that tournament as a whole would be great. I see it would be great. I think it would be great if they just commit, and they won't do it because it's WWE. So I'm just wishing here, but it'd be great if you got just big workers in there, like Nakamura, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, who we got on Raw that can maybe pull into this, I don't know. Keith Lee, Aleister Black, these names that could just chuck in there. Bring Adam Cole up from NXT, get them involved, get some banner in there. Karrion Kross,
Riddle,
in there. Randy Orton, he's never won it. That'd be a good story to tell. Get Randy Orton from the first rounds, get him up to the semi-finals on the pay-per-view. That's what they need to do as well. Bring it back. Not just have it as I think that's why King of the Ring's a bit wasted at times. Is they had that offshoot pay-per-view, well, not pay-per-view, but network special when Barrett won it. But it's just been like a match on a card. I miss King of the Ring as a pay-per-view where they build it up to the finals pay-per-view where you have You could Russo style it and have your quarterfinals, semis, or in finals. I mean, I liked that format back in 98, 99. Or you could just do your semi-finals and your final. Great. You could structure a whole show around the tournament, which is brilliant, ideal. Just bring it back and do it right. That's all I'm asking for. I'm looking forward to it. If it doesn't happen, I'll be gutted. I really will be gutted. I'm looking at this over reading by fucking miles. I mean, you're on the chat. What do you think? Do you want to see the King of Ring come back? Do you think it'll come back? Who wins it? Who's in it? Get your comments in. I want to hear from that there. We'll move on. We talked about the Adam Pearce stuff and backstage. We can kind of move on. Aleister Black came back. Another really interesting promo package. No telling the story. More of it was like trial by fire, trying to cleanse the fire, cleansing and consuming you. And he was getting taught a lesson by Father. He says that quite a lot in that one.
Yeah. Tales of the Dark Father is what the book said. And then, the Dark Father taught me this and that. And then he's like, I would show you, but you're not a participant.
I like he was
you're a spectator.
He said, I'm a cruel man because you say I am. Oh.
Yeah. So here's the question, though. Are they building somebody, are they building somebody to be the Dark Father? Is there going to be somebody with him who's going to be that Dark Father? Or is this going to be a nebulous thing, kind of like, Sister Abigail has been for The Fiend, and for Bray Wyatt?
Well, I think I can see the twist in the tail coming at, like, eventually he turned on his dad. And, like, he either killed his dad
he became the Dark Father.
Yeah, he became the Dark Father. He done something where he took the mantle. I don't want a Bray Wyatt thing with him.
Yeah.
I just want it to be straightforward. I think when you add like the Sister Abigail stuff, it's like, okay, it was good for a while, but then it was a bit like, we have Alexa Bliss as the new Bray Wyatt, so that's the consequence of everything that happened over the past how many years of Bray Wyatt. But I think Aleister Black, if it can come around to like, I'm the Dark Father now. These are my disciples. You could bring the disciples back. Zelina Vega's apparently back to WWE.
What?
Like there was a report coming out that she was at the Performance Center this week, and there's a deal done, or it's going to be done soon. Like she was at the Performance Center, and the expectation was they're bringing her back. Which, if you're not going to put her with Andrade, which because he's not there anymore, and I thought that would have been the way to go for her, but fair enough. Pair her up with Aleister Black.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be bad. Yeah. They're a couple anyway.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I just find that interesting that they would even consider bringing her back. Honestly. I mean, I know we all know that they did her dirty because she talked about unionizing, but still, I figured that would be one that you wouldn't see coming back. So
unless they've got,
if that's the case,
unless they've got something in mind and it's like, she fits the bill perfectly. But I don't know. I think it would be just quite nice to see what Aleister Black comes out with. I think if they just stay strong with it, don't be a bit wibbly wobbly, don't try and add weird things. Have these packages be the way to establish him as, I am the Dark Father. I'm the guy. I'm the guy. Don't worry about Sister Abigail. Don't worry about my family. Me. Just make it about him. Right. Just make it simple. We've got some comments about the King of the Ring here. Canada Spaceman. I want to see NXT invade SmackDown again, but the SmackDown roster already has many ex-NXT. That's not been a problem in the past. We've got new NXT talents now, so they will never have known what it's like, and loyalties will shift. Sonic the Head's right. I could go for King of the Ring if they do something with the winner and not just troll us with that, like they did with the last one, the best wrestler in the world tournament. I don't think they trolled us. You kind of mentioned there about Baron Corbin kind of taking the baton and running with it for the longest time with this story. I think at first everyone felt it was a troll, but he really came into his own with this character. He really kind of found the groove that he needed to be a big, not a player, but a character worth watching, have some depth to him, and he's involved in so much stuff. He just sort of appears here and there. People like Sheamus was maybe a troll one. because he sort of did the King Sheamus thing for a while, then dropped it completely. Barrett was another one, which is a bit like they seem to have this thing where if you're king, you got to be king, and I think that's maybe why we're thinking Nakamura fits, because you can have him be the king but not be dumb.
Right.
Or could you imagine if Aleister Black won it? He came back and won King of the Ring. It's like, I am the Dark King. Aleister Black. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm in for that.
Yeah.
Have him wear crazy, creepy masks and all that stuff as he's coming to the ring. So, I'd be totally cool. I'd be totally cool with that as well. They know the internet hates Corbin. Do they though? Do they though? Like, I think people would say yeah, but quietly, you would disagree. What do you think?
I mean, it's one of those things where, I'm the same way. I used to really just, he was, Conrad used to call Jeff Jarrett the he would fast forward button. He would come on. And that's how I felt about Baron Corbin. But now, in a way, I appreciate what he's done, as a character. And so, but as I said earlier, this is one of those things that he's done a really, really, really good job with it. He was just kind of this character for a while, and this kind of I think helped solidify him as a character and really brought him to the forefront of that. And that's where I think like giving it to a character guy like Shin make this even that much better. Honestly. That's how I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. So we get to the main event segment. Before that, though, Jimmy Uso confirms our Jedi mind trick theory. This wasn't my idea. I didn't want this one. I wanted a tag match with my brother. Well, you got fooled. You got talked into doing this nonsense. Congratulations. He's been watching his brother do all the work. Reigns says he doesn't need Jay, but he does. No, he doesn't need Jay, but Jimmy does. And then we have this match with Jimmy and Cesaro, and you know what? Jimmy being back is good. And and Cesaro seems to work with everyone really well at the moment. He doesn't seem to put a foot. No Rollins. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Weird.
I kind of was expecting a run-in, but part of me wonders too, though, if that was because this was a Roman Reigns style match, he was staying away from that because he doesn't want the ire of Roman, to step in on family business or whatever. It's like he has his annoyances, but he knows how far he can go, and this would be over the line, and he doesn't want to have that. He doesn't want to have that heat on him from Roman.
Yeah. Just before we continue with this here, if you're watching this over the FA Cup final, Leicester City just beat Chelsea for their first ever FA Cup win. So looking forward to watching the highlights of that one. It was a Roman Reigns match for this one, wasn't it? Kind of thinking it was going to go one way, but it went the other. What I thought was really interesting about this is when we got to the tail end of things was this, I don't know, lack of reliance on the other two. How Roman Reigns needs Jay to get him out of jail, but Jimmy didn't really want it or need it. I mean, he lost fair and square in this one, but I say fair and square. It ended how it ended, but it was a DQ finish. But at the same time, it was like, I quite like this Jimmy just kind of sticking up from sort of going out in his shield. I lose. And they were having a great match before this, but then Reigns took advantage of the situation. And it almost feels like this whole show was a ploy from Reigns to like put Jimmy in a position where he's going to get battered off as Cesaro, but then leave Cesaro open to get attacked by Reigns. However, there was something really interesting that got said here. Like Jimmy was yelling at Reigns, but then as things went on, he took the beating from Cesaro at the end, took a bunch of neutralizers, and Cesaro yelled at Roman Reigns, and he was like, Jimmy's not the bitch. You're his bitch. And I kind of sat back and I was like, that's quite an interesting take on that he's...
Right.
again, backhanded compliment. Screw
Right.
Jimmy,
Well,
but
and I mean,
he's better than you.
because yeah, but we see Jimmy was arguing with Roman about it, and they get outside. Um, they get kind of back and forth, and they kind of just are just jammering, and Jay ends up becoming the whipping boy
Yeah.
for Cesaro. He's the one just getting the neutralizers and getting popped and getting beat up because both of them are just so incensed with each other and so caught up with each other that they that's kind of where it kind of made it kind of funny for me because going back to earlier where I said it's like he ping pong ball, between the two. That's where I'm kind of like going, these two are they're just basically using Jay as the ping pong ball he's pulling, and here he is. He's just trying to figure out where he fits in all this, and the poor dude's getting bounced back and forth and getting beat up by Cesaro because he doesn't know which way to go, if he should go with his brother or with his cousin. And so, it's kind of one of those interesting aspects where, I like the storytelling because it's so different, as far as a family dynamic that we've seen in the WWE. We haven't seen something like this in a while. We haven't seen the family fights, the division, stuff like this, but it's being told in a very good way, very believable, because these two, are trying to be alpha dogs, and this one guy's okay. Well, who am I going with? And he gets the brunt of everything for that, and so I really enjoyed it, and the fact that Cesaro is just kind of looking at both of them, going, this is basically it's your fault, that this is happening. So
Yeah.
I really like that,
I also like how Cesaro is so strong in this.
Oh yeah,
so strong.
Oh yeah. He just gets those neutralizers up, and he just holds them for a second, and then just down he goes, and then down he, he just. We're gonna do another one because you guys are just bitching the whole time and complaining. And you're more worried about that.
Maybe I'm asking slightly too much of Cesaro, but I kind of feel like I'd like him to jump as he does the neutralizer. Like know how AJ does the Styles Clash? He kind of jumps up a bit and does it. I wouldn't mind him doing a bit of that, like getting a bit of height on it so there's a bit more impact on that. But apart from that, I'm cool with him doing the neutralizer on anyone.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a safety thing because let's be honest, if you jump, how much control do you really have? Especially with the way the guy's situated. His face is there. You're landing on top of him. To me, I think with him just kind of sliding, I feel like that's a safer way to perform the maneuver than if you jumped, because then, boy, you're taking a ton of impact. On top of somebody, and it can't be good for both people. Yeah. So that's more why I'm thinking why he does it that way.
Yeah, but it's still aesthetically pleasing. I don't mind at all that how he does it. I'm a bit pernickety with that sort of stuff. But Cesaro stands up really strong and weirdly at the expense of Jimmy for this one, which I felt bad for. First match back and he loses. I mean, it fits into the story nicely. I mean, he didn't take a pin. He didn't get submitted. It also kind of broke into Reigns' insecurities a little bit, which I'm really enjoying just now. Him losing control is maybe the way to put it. That he's not sunshine and rainbows. He's not fully in charge. He can't control what Jimmy's doing. I mean, he can control Jay, but he doesn't. This is an outside factor, unpredictable. He doesn't know how to handle Jimmy, which I'm enjoying that. And I think it will eventually. They'll all come together. I can't see it not going that way. But for now, some good TV could come out of this.
Yeah,
I really do think that. I worry though that they'll have Jimmy versus Reigns at the next pay per view, and just be like, if I beat you, you just gotta fall in line.
Yeah,
and it's as simple as that, which would be a bit of a shame. I wouldn't mind Jay playing up the confliction a little bit, trying to kind of come between the two. Like, come on, guys, like this. It's almost like Jay he is the kind of middle child of this, but he's also trying to pick up the sense of it. It's like, come on, guys, this makes sense. Let's just work together. Like, you're my cousin, you're my brother. We could be the tag teams. But then Roman Reigns is like the guy in charge of things. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, he doesn't see the forest for the trees, but he also weirdly has everyone's best interests at heart at the same time, which is heartbreaking in itself.
Yeah.
But it sets the table for a SmackDown post Backlash, which I'm really good at. I'm happy with. Like, this SmackDown didn't just, doesn't leave Backlash and then that's it, unlike what Raw's been doing. There's a lot going forward here. We talked about the potential King of the Ring. We've got the IC title match next week. A big storyline developing with the Usos and Reigns. We've still got like Street Profits to come back. We've got other tag teams to get involved. So you've got that going on. The only major point of concern at this point is the women's division, because we don't know who could come in post Bayley. But apart from that, you can walk into Backlash, you get your results, but be happy with the outcome no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be banking on a good SmackDown coming at some point soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we're in a really, SmackDown's in a really good space, and I agree with you 100%. The women's are the only thing that I'm, a little bit concerned about, but it's not like they couldn't build that up. But you've got plenty in place to, after Backlash, to really some really neat or different directions and really do some different things. Maybe, here's my thought. No Seth Rollins and Sonic the Hedgehog said Rollins' coat was at the cleaners, but don't you think that maybe Rollins interferes this weekend? At Backlash with Cesaro. And that's how they're able to keep this thing going.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is a good time to bring this up. What do you think of? Willie Malacia brought this up on the Hammy Media discussion group on Facebook. So if you want any news content, go in there. The understanding that he's given us is it's going to be Rollins versus Reigns at SummerSlam, which I think is weird, interesting, because it's a great match, great background between the two, the Shield and all that, but heel versus heel at the moment. I just can't see why he would turn Rollins face, because that's the only way this happens. So it's a strange one. But do you think, as you suggest, that if Rollins gets involved, is this supposed to be some kind of the beginning of that? Is that going to set the table for SummerSlam, or do you think there's more bumps in the road to come?
See, here's the thing. It could, because here's what happens. Let's say you go heel, and you get Rollins the title, and then Cesaro comes in and just gets the title off of Rollins.
Yeah.
So protected Romans in a way. You've given Cesaro the rub, knowing that he can beat Rollins, and the kind of matches they put together. So it's a good way to transition the title from Roman to Cesaro through Rollins.
Yeah.
And then you can eventually bring Roman back to Cesaro coming in at WrestleMania if you wanted to. So there's some options there. I mean, like I said, here's the thing. You can do that. It's not a problem. As Canadian Spaceman said on NXT this week, Breezango and faced MSK, and both are babyface tag teams.
That's a bit different, though. I feel it's easier to do two babyface teams because you can pick a side, whereas two heel teams, it's like these are people you're supposed to dislike. It's.
But you can do that, we know that Canadian Spaceman, they don't really care about facing heels anymore. But I think honestly, in all actuality, you could do heel because at the end of the day, people just want to see, these guys beat the crap out of each other. That's, I think, more of what it is. And, you can have a heel on heel, and I hate both guys. And I was just, at the end of the day, I just want to see one of them bloody and broken, and I don't care who wins at the end. I just want to see somebody, beaten up, and then I want to see the hero be able to come in and challenge him and take on that next person. So, you could do that. That's not I don't think the issue. I think it's more of that you have this option because SmackDown has done such a good job of setting the table more than anything else for the places you can go. to quote Dr. Seuss, other places you can go, after this backlash with the different things you could do.
Yeah.
So, that's really I think the more intriguing aspect of it is we could do any of these things and really go from there.
Yeah.
So
totally. Get your comments in as we're starting to work our way towards wrapping up the show. So anything you've got on your mind about anything and everything, get them in the chat just now. A strange thought popped in my head as you mentioned that about Rollins is, do you think if, say, there is a way for Reigns to lose the title, do you think he wins Money in the Bank? Like, I feel like there'd be a scorched earth rampage from Reigns. And I feel like I can almost imagine him, you know how Brock Lesnar won it, but maybe not as shiny.
Right.
Like, I can imagine Brock Lesnar winning the Money in the Bank, but actually, like, imagine Brock Lesnar doing what Brock Lesnar does to 6 other guys in a match, and just Reigns just tearing through everyone to pick up the briefcase, and then just holds it, says just holds the briefcase, gives it to every SummerSlam, and then walks away or something like that. You know, I could see that if it was going to be, as you suggest, if there is a way to get the title off of Reigns between now and then.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, because we know that, what Rob Van Dam called his shot, saying it was going to be a one night stand. We've seen it. So there's precedent for that, where the challenger just says, their precedent and when they want to cash in and how they're going to do that. So that doesn't smack of ridiculousness, because they've already said that, that can happen. You can make a match and make that happen for whatever pay-per-view you want. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the cash in, which is a different way to go about it. We've had somebody lose the Money in the Bank to somebody else. We've had the people kind of come out and lose, their shot when they lost Money in the Bank. And then I think, man, it's been a while, so let's just not do the whole, well, I'm going to call my shot. We're going at this pay-per-view, kind of thing.
And it would also mean that Reigns completes the set. We'd have won the Rumble, won the World titles, the Intercontinental, the United States, a tag title, and then Money in the Bank. I think the only thing he would be missing is the Smackdown tag titles, which is not a bad, not a bad sort of run of things. So it'd be interesting to see what he could do. I just feel like this Reigns of him just not having two sides to him just makes it more fun for me. We're not just getting him coming out with the same head of the table shtick. I like this whole, how do I put this that makes sense? I don't have a great grasp. Like, he's kind of got his own reality in his head of how things are, but then when he's actually faced with what's actually going on, he can't deal. He doesn't have control. He isn't the man in charge. He isn't the head of the table. Well, he is, but he isn't. He's not got as firm a grip as he'd like on things. Right. And when it comes to a head, he doesn't know how to deal with that. So I quite enjoy that, and it could make things interesting for WrestleMania next year, where it's like, do you really want to be the guy that beats Reigns? Do you really want to be the guy that has the title after Reigns loses it? Like, that target on your back is huge if he does win that. Yeah. It'll be brutal, but fun. Yeah. Good TV.
Yeah. I think, that's why I think Cesaro taking it off Roman, I think that would be a really huge pop, but then I could see where Seth Rollins takes it off of Roman and does it in a shitty way, and then people are just super pissed at this point. And then when Cesaro comes in and takes it, they're even more excited.
Yeah. If it is gonna happen, it has to happen with a crowd, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste it on the Thunderdome by any stretch. It's just not the same. We need Carmella to win Money in the Bank a third time with help. Well, Reginald's out of a job, so you never know. You could jump right in on that.
Yeah, Reginald might come back. Reginald might come back to Carmella. Who knows?
Or you could have freaky idea out of nowhere, just popped in my head. What if Alexa Bliss won Money in the Bank, and then when she cashed in, like, you have the Bray Wyatt, like, oh shit, pen's just been flying. You'd have the lights go down, and then when they come back up, she's just pinning them. No, like, jump on them, no nothing. Like, you'd have, say, Asuka was coming out just about to cut a promo, picks up the microphone, lights go out, comes back on. You've got got a possessed referee and Alexa Bliss holding the possessed referee holding the briefcase, and then Alexa Bliss just sitting on her. You know how she's done with Randy Orton, and and like a freaky like slow zombie 3, like 1, 2, 3. You know, Alexa does her whole jumpy skippy thing, and the lights go out, and she disappears, and you just see Asuka lying there dead. Weird idea, came out of nowhere. You can have that one for free, WWE writers, but if you fucking use it, I want my credits, I want my kudos, I want my name on the bottom corner of the screen as you do it.
It's not gonna be there.
It's never going to be there, is it? It's never going to be there, and that's why we're moving platforms. Not really, but I like to think that's one of the reasons. So we've done a great job at SmackDown. Not so much to talk about the mail sack, unfortunately, but we've had some great stuff in the live chat on YouTube. Always love to hear that. WWE has all these characters like Asuka with creepy makeup, Aleister Black, etc., and they almost always never write the scripts well. True. No one's really well written when they're a supernatural character, unless you're the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I wonder...
Or the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman was hilarious. Absolutely loved the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
Booker T made the Boogeyman. He was the
right amount.
Booker T made him. I'll have nothing else said about that, because that WrestleMania feud is outstanding.
He was the right amount of creepy with the right amount of funny.
Yeah.
You know, like that was really the thing. The Boogeyman was well done in that sense. I was never big on the Firefly Funhouse, Canadian Spaceman to me.
I did, but I will ask a question on that, though, right? The Firefly and Funhouse is sort of a popular match. People like it. Can you really name me another good Bray Wyatt match?
That's a good question.
Think of the matches he's had and how many of them are good. And it's shocking. So he's had matches.
Well, we know he's over at WrestleMania, so none of those. Yeah.
He's had the WrestleMania matches. He had John Cena. He had that one WrestleMania this year. 2 with Randy Orton. He's had 2 with John Cena. He's had matches with Seth Rollins. The Undertaker appeared. The Shield one you could maybe say, but there was the whole Wyatt family, so it doesn't really count. Had matches with Roman Reigns.
What about the cinematic one with the New Day, the Wyatt family and the New Day?
I couldn't even remember that one. Is that the one where they walk into that sort of where Xavier Woods is having the sort of he's come to terms with his fear of it all.
Right. Yeah, and they're walking through the woods, and they have the truck with the lights, and all that. That was
good, but I don't think it was great. It came at the time with the Hardy Boys were doing their Broken Universe stuff on Impact, and it wasn't near enough close to what it was.
Right.
But I just don't have apart from Firefly Funhouse, and rightfully so. I don't think there's another memorable Bray Wyatt match. There's memorable moments like the cage match where the kid appears,
right?
And then actually don't know. The Seth Rollins match where the hammer happened, but that's not a good thing either. It really is a damning indictment of their writing of characters like that, supernatural characters. Only the Undertaker and Kane were the ones that pulled off right. And maybe it takes someone like a Russo in that team to sit, because it was the foundations of that when you think about it. Like Undertaker's character was always kind of built off the golden age, but really the sort of darker edge of the Undertaker was like the 97, 98 things, and those were they're the things that got taken into as time went on. The Undertaker, those are the things they took from, rather than and the American Badass stuff, to be fair. But there's nothing really. No one else has really got that. There's that kind of lore behind them, and
right.
I don't know if it's because we've peeled the curtain back too much as well. Back then there was that sort of presence of him, and thinking it was still, he's spooky. Like that suspension of disbelief that he would have is with these stories that we don't have now, because the majority of people, apart unless you're kids, maybe if you are kids you'd believe in this a little bit more, but the majority of wrestling fans are just not buying into it anymore.
Yeah.
And even AEW can't do it, they've had like Sting come back, Darby Allin's had some stuff. I mean, the Dark Order had a run, but then they changed to like a sort of corporate thing under Brody Lee, even though it was really good. You know, I'm not going to say it was bad, but no one does Supernatural well. Apart from Impact, actually. I'll tell a lie. The stuff that Impact done with Rosemary and Crazy Steve, and when they turned Abyss into that, I can't remember the name of the group it was, but you know.
Yeah, the
Decay, that was it. Yeah, that was great. I loved what they did, especially when they did that feud with the Hardy Boys when they were doing the.
Yeah, and of course, the Hardy Boys and their whole mysticism thing. It's hard. It's hard to do because you can't take it seriously.
Yes.
You know, you have to know that you're going to have a modicum of just like, what the F is this? Like, really?
Yeah.
You know, but you just gotta roll with it, and you gotta just deal with it and embrace it. You know, and that's where I think, like, once again, the Undertaker and the Boogeyman, I think that's where they come in, is they just embraced that thing and they owned it and they just ran with it, so that, you know, it could be a character that became a thing that was known for years to come because of the way they portrayed it and the way they worked it. And so, you know, with a supernatural character, you almost have to take it tongue in cheek. You know, really, I think for it to work. And you know, some people just don't want to do that with their careers. They don't want to. I don't want to be seen as a joke kind of thing, which I understand. Nobody wants to be thought of as a joke at their own, you know, business. But at the same time, too, that doesn't mean you can't still have a little bit of fun and be a little bit spooky with it and have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, just own that character, own it really well. And so that's, I mean, but that's hard to write and balance. How do you, you know, listen to stuff every week and realize, ugh, this sucks, or you know, you don't know how to write, and it messes with you. And so how do you know, okay, all right, well, what's working, what's going on? And I think, you know, I don't know if the writers are in the arena to hear what's going on when they come out, because as a writer, if I'm writing something like a wrestling show, I'm able to actually go to the shows and hear how people are reacting. It helps me know, okay, I could do this and this and this. It helps me know where right. The way it sounds like is that not a lot of writers are there listening to the crowd, making that decision to go, oh, we need to go here and we need to go this direction here, rather than just be, you know, but they're not hearing the crowd, so they're not really paying attention to, okay, this is what we really need to be doing, you know, kind of thing. So
it's a challenge as well, because comedy is the hardest thing you can do in the arts.
Right.
Without a doubt. It is the hardest thing you can do, because you have, as you say, you've got to have there's a lot of variables and a lot of feelings for that there. Wrestling, weirdly, needs comedy. And Canada Spaceman hits it on the head as well. He says that WWE is never enough comedy either, and they just have them walking around and leave. But, you know, they rely on comedy, but the best comedy takes time, and it's like a recipe. You've got to get the right factors. And like when I write stuff, when I've done theatre work and written stuff, you know, we workshop the fuck out of it. You know, you write your jokes and then you get them into a room and you read that. They don't have that time. A lot of wrestling has the punchline, but they want the punchline, but they don't want to do the work to get to it. And a lot of comedy falters because of that. You know, like there's a lot of story like you could build. The comedy comes from the build, and the punchline is the exclamation mark and all that. You know, it's like, for me, wrestling comedy should be something that you kind of giggle your way up to a big laugh. You know, they should be kind of like clowns. You know, when you go and see clowns at a circus, they have like they get bigger and bigger and bigger. The bigger the jokes, you know, they have the clowns coming out of the car. And I just can't use stereotypes. We have the clowns use the water guns, and it's just, they tell a story but make it funny. Whereas wrestling, it's like they've got to do this in the context of a fight. And I totally agree with what you're saying as well, is that you have too many people who are like, I don't want to damage my reputation by being stupid. Whereas it's an art form. If you can, and we've seen it with so many characters, where if you can be dumb but do it well, like Bobby Heenan is the best example of comedy, where they could look silly and come up with funny lines, funny quips, and build things. I suppose he was more off the cuff though, wasn't he? didn't really have a comedy storyline, but you know, he was proof positive of it working. Mm-hmm. But I agree, no one does comedy in wrestling, right? No one does it.
And that's the sad part. Is it's needed. You need that let me up moment every now and then. And but it's like you said, it's hard to write. You know, how do you go about doing that without it being stupid?
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to. I'd love to do a podcast with, like, I know we've got we've got a Patreon with a very big comedy actor now, which is great. I'd love to, like, maybe pick his brains on it. Like, I wonder if he watches wrestling and be like, here, can you give us your thoughts on comedy and wrestling and what you would change from that? I'd love to see that. I'd love to, or like, I'd love to do a podcast with, like, Ben, Stevie, anyone like involved in comedy, and just have a round table about comedy.
Right. How does comedy work? You know, I mean, but here's the thing: is it the performer, or is it the things they do? Because you know, let's be honest, Colt Cabana has made a living being more of a comedy wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, so is it because of what he does in the ring, or is it because of the comedy that he does and what he's able to do? So, you know, because let's be honest, Colt's a good wrestler. In general, he's got a good base and good wrestler, but you know, I mean, like, to me, he almost, you know, I know he, you know, in it is like, because I was watching one of his his documentaries about funny equals money or whatever, and it's like he's wrestling at this place in Cleveland. When he walked into the building, he's very observant. He notices at the top of the roof in this old church building that they're going to be wrestling in, there's a balloon that had gotten stuck up there. And so he incorporates that into his match. Guy comes running down and he goes, "Stop!" He goes, "What?" "Look, it's a balloon." It's like, "Oh." And then Colt punches him in the face.
Yeah.
You know? And then, you know, it's funny stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but to me, I think that's where it's not just the material written, it's the person who performs it.
It's a skill.
You need somebody like and it's a skill. You know, I could see, you know, I know I've watched the matches. Ben has the capability to do that kind of stuff, you know, where he can be serious and come across as being this thing, but then also do these comedy skits. But he has the skill and the athleticism to pull some of that stuff off to where you're like, oh wow, you know, where he shit cans or whatever and does something, and the amount of skill to do that well and look natural and look real. You know, that's where I have to, you know, really appreciate, you know, that's where I have to really appreciate Ben as a performer and, you know, as a person on this platform, you know, not because I want to brown nose him, but, you know, as a person who watches lots of movies and TV shows and things, you know, and wrestling, you know, I see wrestling. I go to a lot of independent shows here in Texas, and you got some guys who are funny and do different things, and, you know, but it's not to the quality that Ben does, because you can tell he thinks about his craft and he does what he's doing, and he's able to yes and to do those things and be willing to work with whoever and do some of those things to where, you know, it's funny, but you're also cheering because the bad guy's getting his comeuppance. And so, you know, I just don't think there's performers who understand that concept, you know, that on the level like Colt Cabana and Ben do. You know, I really think that's a different level of performer, because, you know, you can write all this stuff too. You can try to be funny, but let's be honest, there's going to be a lot of people in wrestling who are not going to be able to pull this off. And that's where you have to have that balance of the performer as well as the writer.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, and that's where you have to look at it. Is it the performer or the writer? You know, sometimes it's both. You know, you try to be funny and the writing sucks and the performer can't pull it off anyway. So then you just get a mess, you know? And so, you know, and I think the same way is with the supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
You get somebody who doesn't understand how to write it, whereas the performer could pull it off, but the writer doesn't really know how to tell that story. So then you get, snakes on a ring mat, you know, with projected onto a ring mat. Okay, great. Well, okay, that was cool, I guess, but what did it do? Nothing, you know. You know, and so that's where I think with comedy, with when you try to go outside of the norm of the dramatic wrestling story. I think that's where it struggles, is because a lot of these people don't know how to do those things, and make it work. And then the performers, the WWE performers or whoever, they don't understand how to make that work either, because they don't understand it. So it just takes a lot of talent and skill, and people being willing to do that kind of thing and learn outside of their craft. That's where I think the thing I appreciate about Ben, he learned improv, he learned things outside of just wrestling, and was willing to teach that to other people. Where you can see that with other performers who've learned under their tree, those kind of things. And I think that's what makes it really, really important to have some good stuff like that. So,
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. You know what? I think we need to do an episode of like a round table on this subject matter, because there's so much to dive into. Much to dive into this sort of thing. So I'd love to kind of get other people on and have this big chat. Like I think Rad Rob would be great in this, and Ben Hammy and Stevie.
Yeah.
I might get that out there. I might go out in the blower and maybe arrange something like a special at some point.
Yeah. Which, by the way, confirm, Rad Rob will be on next week with me. On the Smack Attack, since you're going to be out for your birthday. So next week's Smack Attack is going to be a little bit different, because it's going to be myself and Rad Rob, as we are going to be talking Smackdown next week.
Is it Super Texas edition, isn't it? Isn't Rab from Texas as well?
What? No, he's from Tennessee.
Is he Tennessee?
So, yeah, Super Southern edition. How about that? We're going Super Southern edition. We're going to do that Southern wrestling.
Yeah.
We're not going to be talking about that WWE stuff. We're going Southern wrestling.
Yeah.
So, we'll have different things on. I'll talk to him this week. Maybe we have, there's a guy here in Texas, Kiefer Bartek. He runs a promotion here in Texas, and he's been interesting talking about that. Maybe we'll have him on next week, because I won't bring Jackson Stone without you, so I'll make sure to hold off having Jackson on. Jackson's actually been unavailable on weekends because he's been coaching a 13-year-old baseball team, because Jackson, before he was a wrestler, he was a baseball player at college and played some minor league baseball here in the States. And so he got into coaching this year and coaching a 13-year-old boys team, and has been doing that. So actually, I got a message from him today. He's going over to Barrett Brown, New Japan Strong Zone Barrett Brown. He's going to his place, and they were going to Mississippi to wrestle tonight. Nice. So he's actually hasn't been wrestling since May, because he's been doing this coaching thing. He is getting back into wrestling, focusing on that. So he's been unavailable on weekends. That's kind of why we haven't been able to get a hold of him or get some things. But speaking of that, we know you are loved. They're part of what we're doing here in Jackson Stone. And so I got a mental health tip for you that he sent, and it's about managing anxiety. So here's a few tips for managing anxiety for you as we head out for the day. Negative thoughts can take root in your mind and distort the severity of the situation. One way is to challenge your fears and ask if they are true, and see where you can take back control, which is a great thought, because negative thoughts can distort how you see yourself or view yourself or the situation you're in. So step back and go, okay, is it really as bad as I'm thinking? And where can I take back control of that? Another thing is to practice focused deep breathing. Try breathing in 4 counts and breathing out for 8 counts for 5 minutes total. And by evening out your breath, you will slow your heart rate, which should help ease your anxiety. Because when we get anxiety, we get kind of excited and whatever. And so it just kind of helps calm us down, which leads into our next thing is go for a walk or do 15 minutes of yoga. Sometimes the best way to stop anxious thoughts is to walk away from the situation. Take some time to focus on your body and not your mind, and it may help relieve your anxiety. So 15 minutes of yoga or a walk, just kind of get out of the way of yourself a little bit. Write down your thoughts is another thing. He says writing down what's making you anxious gets it out of your head so you can make it less daunting. When you take something, it's in your head, it feels so big, and you write it down. I don't know about you, but when I write, I don't write super big. So when I write, it just seems small all of a sudden. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. It's not as big as I'm thinking here. So you are loved mental health tips that will help you if you deal with anxiety on a regular basis, if it's something that's debilitating for you, if those are the things that you really struggle with. It's a great way to kind of help you handle anxiety in a way. And like I said, if you need more than that, and if you're struggling with that, contact Jackson Stone. You are loved through him, Twitter, Jackson Stone _ or you can email me, John, at freedomhousepc.org, and we can help figure out what resources we can get you, because it's May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we want to make sure that you're getting the proper mental health you need and making sure you're getting taken care of. So having to dealing with the anxiety of that, and or some of us are dealing with the anxiety of, do I even remember how to do my job? Because it's been so long. So I mean, I know, James, you talked about, you're doing 6 days this week.
Yeah.
Some anxiety from that, of just dealing with that kind of stuff. So if you need help, that's what we're here for. Contact me, contact Jackson Stone, and we'll get you the help you need so that you can continue being here, because we like having you here. We love the input, and I just think y'all are all really funny, cool people. So let's keep that up. Let's keep it going, and it keeps us wanting to do Smack Attack every week, because you guys are the reason why we do. We don't do it because it's fun. We do it because we're able to provide something for you guys and help you maybe recap a show, and provide some interesting thoughts or stupid thoughts in the process, and make you laugh a little bit here and there. So
we give you something for to add, to give you a place for a couple hours to relax, and I hope we help that. I hope we help you and just kind of feel a bit more at home, and in a safe place, in a safe space while we do this as well, for that there. I'd just like to confirm as well to Canada Spaceman, it's not that I have a Scottish accent. I am Scottish. I mean, you can't get any more Scottish accent than being Scottish, I came back strong for this one, didn't I? But we'll wrap on. We'll wrap on out of here. It's been great having you here. If you want to get in touch with us at any point through the week, if you want to get involved in the show, send us a tweet at Twitter at SmackAttackHMG. You'll see just a line below me here. You will see SmackAttackHMG on Twitter, or email us at smackattackhammymedia@gmail.com. You'll find us on the Hammy Media discussion group on Facebook. Find us there. Some great news content from Will and Alicia, as always. We do pick'ems. People can post whatever they want within reason. Rules are rules, within reason, but we have great topics, great discussion, all things going on there. So get involved in the chat on that if you're not already on there. Fighter Fans at Fighter Fans site on Twitter, fighterfans.com. Big night for them tonight. UFC is ahead. Michael Chandler versus Oliveira for the lightweight title. Tony Ferguson's fighting as well, which is going to be great. AJ versus Tyson Fury is borderline confirmed for Saudi Arabia, so there's got so much to talk about there. News vertical about all things MMA, boxing, pro wrestling, so get involved in that. We've already mentioned Your Love, Jackson Stone's project. Support that at Your Love Life on Twitter, yourlovedlife.com as well. And generally, just keep it locked on Hammy. We've got some big things in the pipeline, very big things that are coming. So if you're keep it all things Hammy Media Group. If you're on the Patreon, huge. We're talking huge. We're huge. But keep on the Patreon. If you've got Patreon, Hammy Media Group on Patreon as well. There's the locker rooms. So you got the Wednesday locker room. With my favorite one is the Wednesday locker room with Strangler Steve and co. The Friday locker room is still with Ben Hameen and Stevie. A lot of the content on Patreon just now you're getting for free. You're not paying for it, but if you want to pay a premium, you want to help out the cause, go right ahead for that. It's a home for so much great wrestling content, so much great Hammy Media content. The Affiliates Podbean channel is still there somehow, some way, where John's podcast venture, the Academy Star Trek podcast, they're a very good podcast.
It's Triple D's podcast venture, and then he just let me come on board. So
I do believe it's no longer called Triple D's Star Trek podcast, though. It's the Academy. He's got you in the umbrella.
And speaking of Patreon, by the way, real quick, I'm sorry, James, but we have shows like the A Show, we have the FR podcast, we have all these things on there. And by the way, one of your Smack Attack hosts may be on the A Show here in the next couple of weeks. So
how's that?
You never know.
Hold on. I get hee-haw on this, and everyone else gets like Joe was on. Like, you see what Joe was on this? He was getting shouts for stuff. And is it me? Am I just a wank? Is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah. I think no. I gotta say, hey, Colin. Colin's my new kayfabe best friend. But yeah, no. Part of it was too. I watch. If you don't watch and follow on Twitch, they do on Tuesdays. They record, and I've been following a lot lately. And of course, in that process, they found out of what I do. So Aaron and April have reached out and said, "Hey, would you want to come on sometime?"
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
yeah,
that's fair. To be honest.
Yeah,
I'm just
so that's kind of it's going to be more talking about what I do with the agency and how we handle things and stuff like that. So
I look forward to seeing that. I really am. I think it'll be a really good show.
Yeah. So if you want to get on Patreon and hear that and hear whenever I'll be on there, that'll be a lot of fun. And they have a good show there too. So that's kind of what's happening a lot lately.
Yeah.
So make sure you go to Patreon. It helps us out with what we're doing, with the big news coming and all that kind of stuff, the transitions we're going to be having. Just make sure that you guys are keeping in the loop. We'll keep you aware of what's happening in the, but just keep everything locked where you're at. The best, honestly, I think the 100% best place to do is keep it on YouTube right now. That's where I'm getting everything from me. But go to Patreon as well. You can pay for the stuff there, or you can see all the free stuff there as well. So make sure you're checking all that out, because we're some of the last bastions of free media, of being able to talk about what we want to talk about and not have people dictate to you what you should think or say, which is sad. I mean, really, honestly, I hate going to the gym, because in the mornings, just these news stories are just so ridiculous. And we're gonna tell it to you straight like it is. We're not gonna give you any fluff or bullshit or our agendas or projectives. It's gonna be, hey, we're just common sense people trying to tell you what we see. And if you want to support that kind of media, Patreon is the way to go, on the Hami Media Group. So, all right, I'm off my.
Yeah.
I feel like I got my preacher's podium. Like I've been preaching lately. So.
Got a wee box for you. We'll get you on there for a wee while. That'd be great. You'd be good for that there. But no, that's been a great show. I think it's a great way to close things off. I've really enjoyed this one. I hope you've all enjoyed it on the chat as well. If you've watched post the live stream, if you're watching this later in the fact, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone in the live chat. It's been great chat to you. I hope we get to see you again next week. If you get in touch, we will be here next week. I won't. Maybe. I might be in the chat. Who knows? I'll be getting pissed, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. But we'll be with you next week. Raj Rob and my man John Wright will be together for one very southern show of the Smack Attack, but we will see you as always next week for another edition of the Smack Attack. You take care of yourselves and take care of each other.